Bit more positive news to share with y'all because, it doesn't seem like, frankly, there's a lot of that going on these days, unfortunately. So, here's some. Psychedelic mushroom legalization moves closer to appearing on Oregon ballot. This is from The Hill. I'll share it in the link below. Pictures of some mushrooms there. Push to legalize the use of psychedelic mushrooms in therapeutic settings is one step closer to appearing in the Oregon ballot in November, the Oregonian reported. Um, Honestly, though, all drugs need to be legalized. It's a form of harm reduction, and we're not going to have, thousands or tens of thousands of people dying each year because they overdose on, heroin that was laced with fentanyl or whatever. Legalize it, treat it from a public health perspective. And again, people aren't really free if they don't have the choice to put into their body whatever substances they want. Obviously, with the caveat, don't be harming other people, don't give it to children, etc. But we're all adults, we can figure that shit out for ourselves. Anyways, the Oregon Psilocybin Therapy Initiative announced this week that it has received necessary amount of signatures for the measure to appear on the ballot. It's awesome. Yes, an IP 34. Today we can finally say that we did what so many thought was impossible. The Psilocybin Therapy Initiative will qualify for the ballot in November. Thanks to all the supporters, advocates, and volunteers, the Psilocybin Therapy campaign is turning in its final signatures. Wow, look at that. 164,782 Oregonians signed for psilocybin therapy. We need something similar here in Washington State. Election officials will now work to verify whether the 164,782 signatures collected are valid. This is just so fucking ridiculous. Psilocybin is currently listed as a Schedule 1 drug at the federal government, meaning the U.S. government has determined that a high potential for abuse and no currently accepted medical treatment. And again, that's just a bunch more war on drugs, fucking bullshit, propaganda. Anybody who's ever anybody who's ever actually used mushrooms know that it's going to be a very hard substance to abuse because it's quite the trip, literally, and frankly, you only need to use them very, very sporadically to get a huge amount of benefits from them. The Oregon campaign, known as Initiative Petition IP number 34, legalized the use of psychedelic mushrooms in controlled doses when administered by professionals in the state. So again, it's a step in the right direction. Like I said, all drugs should be legalized as a form of harm reduction. Also needs to be pointed out how racist the war on drugs are and the disproportionate impacts that it has on people and communities of color and other marginalized groups in particular. If passed into law, the measure would empower the Oregon Health Authority to set up all licensing, training, certification, and ongoing education requirements for psilocybin service centers and facilitators during a mandated 2-year development process. Only license holders will be able to provide psilocybin therapy, cultivate psilocybin, or own a psilocybin service center. IP number 34 will not make psilocybin available to buy in stores. They should. That would be amazing. Or to take home. And psilocybin products will not be branded or marketed to the general public. People also would not be allowed to grow their own psychedelic mushrooms in their homes or to leave a treatment facility while still under the influence of psilocybin. The chief petitioners, Sherry and Tom Eckert, said they believe magic mushrooms may be an effective treatment for depression, anxiety, or addiction. The Eckerts, both counselors, say that psilocybin could be widely available as cannabis if the measure passes. As therapists, we know that personality doesn't change easily, Tom Eckert told the Oregonian in 2017. Where typical pharma-type interventions fall short, psilocybin is really breaking through a pretty amazing frequency. It's the experience that creates change in people, Tom Eckert said. Rigorous studies at leading medical research institutions such as Johns Hopkins, UCLA, and NYU show that psilocybin is uniquely effective in treating depression, anxiety, and addiction. The organization said on its website, it shows so much promise, the FDA recently granted a breakthrough therapy designation, meaning that psilocybin therapy may demonstrate substantial improvement over what's currently available. Dr. Bronner's, they're pretty legit actually. The company, known for its all-in-one soap, in May donated $1 million to the effort. The brand previously donated $150,000 in September. Kudos to Dr. Bronner's. Makes you want to get more of their soap. We want to make sure it's done in the right way, CEO David Bronner said, and feel that Tom and Sherry are putting forward models based on the best practices based off of the clinical trials coming out of Johns Hopkins and NYU, but making it accessible to everyone. In many ways, the therapeutic container is like an analog to the indigenous ceremonial container. Oregon would be the first state to legalize the substance if the ballot measure is successful. A similar California ballot initiative failed in 2018. Several cities, including Denver and Oakland, California, have decriminalized certain hallucinogenics, including magic mushrooms. So again, it's a good start. It will only be used for therapeutic use in controlled settings. Like I said, it's progress, but again, we need to legalize all drugs, treat it from a public health perspective. It's a huge form of harm reduction, and people aren't truly free if they don't have the choice to put into their own body whatever substances they want. Obviously, as long as they're not harming anybody else, giving it to kids, etc. Not to mention the racist nature of the war on drugs as well. Peace. Much love.